So in this video, I'm going to show you how to join two pieces of crochet together using something called the mattress stitch. So I have these two swatches and I'm going to stitch them together along the top rows and down the row ends as well. Okay, so I've got my two swatches and I've placed them, this would be the wrong side facing. These are reversible in these particular swatches, but if you have a wrong and right side, then you need to have the right sides facing inwards and the wrong sides will be facing you. I've taken some contrasting yarn just so you can see where the joins are and how the stitch works. So I've attached my yarn. Now I'm left-handed, so if you're right-handed, you might be working this in reverse. All you do with the mattress stitch is you take it and you work your needle from the inside of the seam to the out. So I'm just going to pull that through that first stitch. Then on the other side, I'm going to do the same from the inside of the stitch outwards. And then I'm just going to continue working that, matching stitch to stitch and trying not to get my ends caught. Now, after every kind of inch or so that you work, what you need to do is you need to pull your working thread tight, but not so tight that it puckers. So just every few inches, you'll see as I pull that tight. The stitches sort of disappear. So I'll just work a few more rows and then, a few more stitches. We can get those ends out of the way. Sometimes it's easier to keep it loose when you're working, just so you can kind of see the stitches and you can work out which stitches you've worked into and which ones you haven't. So you can see as I've pulled that tight, the stitching really almost completely disappears. So let's just work along the rest of this row. Okay, so you can see I've got to the end of the row and I'm just going to pull that last bit tight. It makes it easier if you hold your thumb over the seam just to stop it stretching. So you pull it tight. And then as you can see, it's a very subtle flat seam. There's no bulking. It's really important to get the tension right. That's the only thing I would say. So I'm going to use the same method to work down the row ends, and you're going to have to excuse the fact that my cat might leap in at any moment. So you can see row ends is something I always used to struggle with seaming, but you can see the equivalent parts. So you can see we've got that bit of, let's use that, this bit of the turning chain there and that bit there. You've got those lumps, so I can see I've got that ridge which matches that ridge. So when you're joining row ends together, it's really helpful to just make sure you're matching the right bits, and if you need to, just pin them in place. But we're going to do exactly the same thing on the row ends. It's not going to be as precise because you don't have the obvious stitches to work in, but I'm just going to continue to stitch inside out. I tend to stitch into the turning chain. You might want to stitch kind of closer to the edge. You might, oh, there she goes. You might want to stitch further away. It depends on the type of stitch you're using. So I'm just going to carry on. You see here, you can see I've got that turning chain. So I've just got that fine bit there. So I could just stitch under that. But because I'm working these stitches quite close together, that's still going to be secure. So let's just do a couple more. So I'm just going to pull that tight. Stop it, cat. And then I'll turn it inside out, and you can just see, you can't even see where the thread is there. So that's it. That is Mattress Stitch, and it is the answer to all of your crochet seaming needs.